Poland recognizes many great heroes who fought for our independence. We fought for our freedom and yours in most distant places, but we can also distinguish discoverers and inventors who changed the fate of Poland and the world. And often, we don't know much or even anything about them. They were intentionally ignored for decades following World War II. However, now we can tell their stories with pride, to remind Poland and the world about our great countrymen, great Polish inventors in the Second Polish Republic. 1934 is an exceptional year in Poland's history. The German-Polish Non-Aggression Pact normalizes our relationship with Germany. We just won the challenge for the second time, thanks to RWD, which we'll talk about later. PZL notes a big failure due to the malfunction of American engines, but the Americans are not the ones to blame. Piłsudski appreciates RWD's success. He meets with them, suggesting that the third challenge victory in a row would transfer the cup to Poland. So, Dąbrowski was appointed to build a bomber. We didn't have any back then. He uses American blueprints of modern Boeings and Douglases. When it comes to aerodynamics, I believe he was taking inspiration from other planes as well, which were in Warsaw, trying to reach Australia from London. He carefully calculates everything and draws a beautiful plane. His deputy, Kubicki, is an expert in so-called weight balance. That's why the wash will be light despite its large dimensions. And there's more. Dąbrowski's biggest achievement, which was pretty intuitive and proved his genius, is that he decided to store bombs in the wing. He intuitively modified the profile in a very original manner, so the bombs could fit. They sent the profile to process it at the Institute of Aerodynamics, and they were all surprised by the new properties of the profile. Thanks to that, the wash was incredibly fast. The wash was supposed to reach 350 kilometers an hour, but could even fly at 445. And with solid, but definitely not the best engines, it could go over even 500 kilometers an hour, but that's not the point. This was our biggest success. The wash, our showcase product. We showed it in Paris in 1938, and everyone was really impressed. The plane next to it looked like its smaller copy. It was the PZL-38, a pursuit fighter, also designed by Jerzy Dąbrowski. We should never forget that we were the leaders in Europe, especially when compared to France or the Soviet Union. That our elites were not afraid to make rational decisions, which led to new programs with very ambitious goals. Dąbrowski is a perfect representative of this young Polish generation, which is growing with great competitiveness, and sometimes foul play can happen. But the situation, especially in Warsaw, is that the leadership is not afraid of bigger projects. In other countries, the main problem was lack of courage among the leadership, because bad political decisions often led to an overthrow, or even infamy. Our leaders were not afraid of it. And that's the beauty of it. Iskra's creator, Professor Tadeusz Soltyk and Professor Rummel, also mentioned this. This is what made us extraordinary. Politicians who were not afraid. Not afraid of massive projects. You can have skilled people, money and factories. But you can't succeed without great decision makers, because one bad decision can destroy everything. A perfect example can be seen after the war, when Canada, with the great help of Poles, especially pilots like Żurakowski and Potocki, designed the Arrow fighter. Thought to be the best in the world. It could have been in service even today, but was destroyed by bad decisions. The Canadians still regret it, at least some of them. The government even decided to cut up and scrap all the prototypes. Dąbrowski didn't finish his studies at the Warsaw University of Technology, but his accomplishments were so great and extraordinary that he nevertheless deservedly received a degree. Today, he would probably receive habilitation and professorship, but we also cannot forget about Piotr Kubicki, whose star will shine in the UK after the war. Once again, his weight balance skills were put to good use. The Canberra was probably the best bomber in the world in its class, and Kubicki handled its weight balance aspect. The Canberra was incredibly lightweight compared to its dimensions, providing great performance. So, Dąbrowski designed the laminar flow profile. The whole world was praising the Mustang for it. But we were first. It wasn't laminar profile, but laminar flow profile. Most people wouldn't understand that. At an exhibition in Yugoslavia, we showed some tactical and technical specs, and the Yugoslavians said that it was impossible. Such performance is not possible with these engines, but it was possible. We were becoming real pioneers. The prototypes were excellent. Many of the biggest countries in the world were ready to place orders for the wash. Of course, it still needed some enhancements. The Russians will later get hold of it. It's full of exceptional construction innovations. But it wasn't our secret, after all. We were going to sell licenses for peanuts. But fortunately, it didn't happen. It was totally incomprehensible. A strange carelessness happened at the end of the 1930s. It was after Pilsudski's death. No one was in a hurry, and it all backfired in 1939. It didn't look good at all. I know it's not a popular thing to say, but to fully understand our defeat, we have to analyze the real reasons. The war ended the career of one of the greatest Polish designers. After 1945, only one great designer remained. It was Tadeusz Sołtyk, deputy of Prauss, the designer of the Karaś aeroplane, and Misztal, who became a professor at the Warsaw University of Technology. Only a few of them remained, and the Russians took over everything. It's a simple truth. Eventually, they were murdered. Commandant Szczybor from Dęblin was arrested in front of his family. The military intelligence came for him. His family never saw him again. How can you describe such times? Sick would not be enough. These were awful times. Why would anyone want to go back? Dąbrowski died prematurely in 1967. Very prematurely. An aviation engineer and constructor of the PZL-37 Wash bomber, the first plane in the world with the laminar flow profile. He was a brilliant plane designer who came up with lots of unique technical solutions. However, the war ended his career and further work for Poland.